Hello and welcome to the Car Sim and Race Driver Show. Well, this show is, I think, quite appropriately titled Hamilton Wades In on the US riots and SJW battle regarding George Floyd, who was the African-American man who was killed. And the police officer who did it has been charged with third-degree murder, which is in effect manslaughter. Hamilton is basically putting his piece to say he supports Black Lives Matter and all the kind of things that go along with that. And it's a quick show just to get your views on what's been happening and also to share my thoughts as well on what I think, if it's a good move for Lewis to be this political. And it's a massive story. And it was shocking. Like many people have seen the video of George Floyd and the fact that the policeman had his leg and his knee on George Floyd's neck. There's absolutely no answer for that, in terms of that's not in the way that police deal with people, especially in those situations. And it was absolutely wrong. And quite rightly, the police officer who did that has been charged with third-degree murder, which is in effect manslaughter. And all of the other policemen with them have also been fired. Now, you might say, well, it's too little, too late. And so there obviously is issues with racism in police in America. That's been, it's not everywhere and it's not with all of them, but there are problems and that needs to be obviously sorted out. I think the issue I have, and I do feel quite annoyed about it, in terms of I don't think it's well thought through by Lewis, because when you start supporting particular groups, then you support whatever they do. It's very hard. Your name is then linked with whatever that group does. And when you have some of the more extreme versions of those kind of groups like Antifa, who are known, they're regarded as an internal domestic terrorist organization. And they go around with all of these groups like Black Lives Matter, because they're basically the more violent end of those groups. They say they want to go about punching certain other people. I won't say that on YouTube, but it's easy to see who they want to punch. And they are prepared to bring violence to these things. And it kind of makes a kind of ironic kind of crazy thing to think about, to have, why would you be looting the businesses of African-American people, right, of communities, and say this is, and then on the one hand, you're looting African-American businesses, people who have worked very, very hard to get where they are to try and make a change for themselves. And then a whole bunch of rioters just come in and steal it all. And they're saying, oh yeah, but it's terrible about how black people are being treated, or, certainly, or institutional racism and so on. It doesn't connect, right? And I think, once again, it comes down, probably the good reason why most of the older drivers and the Formula One groups haven't got anywhere near it is because they are actually realize that if you start associating with certain groups, then you will take whatever those groups do and your name is linked with that. And it's very hard to kind of backtrack and say, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that, because these guys are actually doing things that I don't like, and they're clearly wrong. And I just think, fair enough, a peaceful protest is always right, always decent to do, especially in a case which is this severe. But they have actually been effective in in bringing justice. If they're looking to get justice, then they have done that, because the person was charged within a few days of the third-degree murder, which is way quicker than in many cases. And all the others who were involved in that have been fired and will probably face prosecution as well, I would have thought, if they're found to be involved in any way. The problem is, as well, we only get sound bites of what happens. So, for example, people said, oh, he was asphyxiated, and that's how he died. But similarly, in the coroner's report, that's not how he died. I think he had underlying health issues. Now, I don't have all the information in front of me, but again, if people support particular groups and support a line, what's going to happen when the truth comes out? And I think we have to be very careful. And it kind of, again, shows a little bit of how, unfortunately, our education establishments have not really taught people to think for themselves and look at the truth, look at the bigger picture. And that's why you tend to find that it's a group of maybe younger drivers at the moment, certainly in Formula One, who have put their mark on this. And say, all the Black Lives Matter, but surely it's all lives matter. If you want to be fair and decent and honest, would you not say all lives matter? Every group matters. You wouldn't just say, well, one's above the other, or one's being singled out all the time more than the other, because there's quite a lot of people who could argue that they're being singled out. And I just think he's going to maybe come to regret this kind of stuff, because you can't say this is a, I mean, how he supports peaceful protest, but then puts his name to other groups. And then they see what they do. They're looting, they're causing horrendous riots. And that is a terrible problem. And that's got nothing to do with the way that George Floyd was treated. These are then just groups of people who see a chance to burn down entire blocks of buildings and whole communities, and because they're violent, and they're looking for an excuse to take out that violence on anywhere they can. And I think the way that they've been dealt with is shocking. I think mayors and local groups in America need to be far tougher to stamp that kind of stuff out. Because then it just makes anyone who wants to protest peacefully, it looks like a joke. So you probably tell, I'm quite emotional about the whole thing. I think politically we need to be very, very careful what we support. And I think, as well, you can't expect a sport like Formula One that is absolutely based on being competitive, right? It's got nothing to do with where you come from, really. At the end of the day, it's either you've got money because your family's well off and you've done well, and then the family pays for the son or the daughter to go into motorsport. And then so they do that. And if they're good enough, they get up to the ranks that they need to be in. And if they're very, very good, they might go on to be successful in the sport. Now, what it shows is that, look, we've got a lot of Chinese, we've had a lot of Asian drivers for many years. Asian drivers have come through the field and done quite well. And especially in sim racing and all of that now, it's massive. But it's true. Hamilton in that way is saying, well, there's not very many black and kind of African American or this kind of black origin groups or drivers coming through. And I think the biggest problem is, well, you have to look at, well, how are they managing that? Why is that the case? Is it because in those areas they're not as successful? And then so it goes back to education. Well, why are they not succeeding? I don't know. That's a question you'll have to answer for yourselves in that. I think, in most groups, there are those who have to work very hard. Hamilton and his father and his family, they worked incredibly hard. I think Lewis's father had, was it 3 or 4 different jobs in order to get the money together to make things work. And, so they've done more than most. And, I have all the time in the world for Lewis as a driver to be able to do these things. I think, unfortunately, when you are around celebrity culture in such a way as what Lewis is, he is going to take whatever that celebrity culture kind of dictates to him. If he goes on board with that, then he did it with the environmentalism and all the rest of it, and being vegan. It's very virtuous and it sounds very cool, and all the big celebrities like to do that. But actually, I think with the real people, I'm not sure if it's going to help. This stuff might help him maybe with some of the folk at school at the moment with his younger fan base, but unfortunately for me, it just simply says they're not very well educated, because they're not really able to see the big picture, because they can't associate that all that violence is somehow justified. And someone says there can't be any peace until there's change. That's not a great statement to make, in my point of view. Now, I know maybe a lot of people might disagree with me, but you can't justify violence for this kind of thing. You have to believe that the state and the justice system will sort it out. You can then protest peacefully as long as you want to get that to happen, and that is a decent and honourable duty of every citizen in the country when things get to that level. But to then allow and to not stop thousands of people just violently burning down buildings and assaulting and all sorts of people have been killed now in these riots. Other folk have been injured and killed in these riots. And it's not surprising that people will defend their properties. And that's the famous phrase, when the looting starts, the shooting starts. If you own a business and you see people burning down buildings around you and coming for your business and you're potentially to hurt your family, you will defend it. In America, they have Second Amendment rights, and they will surely want to defend that as much as possible. So there's my little 9-minute view as to what's been happening. But I would love to find out what you think. And what is your view? Leave a comment in the description box below, or sorry, in the box below. We'd love to hear your comments. But I thought, yes, it's maybe the time for a little rant about Hamilton's ways, as it's driving you mad when all these lot are coming out with this nonsense. I was clearly not thought through. But you've been watching the Car Sim and Race Driver Show with me, Hugh Hattrick. And I'll have another video before Thursday, because we've got a very special guest coming on who has got an awful lot to do with Formula One. So make sure you watch that on Thursday night at 9 o'clock. So take care and drive fast and try not to crash. And make sure you hit that subscribe channel too. Bye just now.